All right, guys, how's it going? Eastbayanglers out here. Today we're talking all about Del Valle, California. Lake Del Valle is located in the Livermore area of California. It is a wonderful place to bass fish. Today we're talking about springtime bass fishing at Lake Del Valle and my favorite baits, my techniques, some of the spots I like, colors I like to throw at Lake Del Valle. Let's get straight into it, guys. The first thing I want to talk about is a jig and a pig. It's hard right now, you know, hard to beat a jig and a pig there as far as quality. You want a big fish, jig and a pig is one of your best bets right now, all the way through post spawn, which is roughly, you know, second week, first week of May, depending on, you know, how the season goes, whether it's a warm year or whether it's kind of a funky spring. We'll see, but it's going to be interesting if we get enough water to fill up a lot of lakes that are low right now in California. Lake Del Valle, when you're at Lake Del Valle, you're going to notice the water clarity itself is poor for most parts of the lake. And don't let this fool you into thinking that, you know, fishing in a finesse presentation is out of the question. They work just as well. But let me talk to you guys today about a jig and a pig first. Jig and a pig, Lake Del Valle, California. First thing you want to be doing is you want a football jig head if you can. Football jig head or a stand-up jig head works just about as good if you can't get the football. Next thing you want is you want color combos that are going to work. Some of the color combos that I've had success on, and the only color combos I will have tied on, are brown and purple and brown and black. That is it. Those are the only two colors that I would have tied on my rod, on my line at Lake Del Valle. As far as jigging a pig, you know, all that, as far as, you know, anything really in that regard, it's a really good color. You know, sometimes a lot of people, they get caught up on you know, big swim baits, little swim baits. Swim baits in general are very productive at Lake Del Valle in the spring. So, you know, if you're throwing craws, if you're throwing jig and a pig craw imitators, if you're throwing you know, what is it, double tail grubs and stuff like that on the back of a football head and a skirt, you know, you're going to be doing okay. If you're throwing swim baits, you're going to be doing okay. When it comes to swim baits, you want to focus in on bait fish colors. You want the shad colors. You want the regular rainbow trout colors. You want the normal bait fish, the forage fish like the striper that are in there, anything that's going to imitate anything like that. You know, bluegill, all those things. But the next thing we're going to talk about when you're fishing Lake Del Valle in the spring is going to be topwater. It's really hard to ignore. I mean, the temperatures maybe don't really scream topwater, but I'm telling you, get out there before the sun really comes up all the way. And there's a phenomenal window, very short, but a phenomenal window nonetheless. You can get on a lot of fish at Lake Del Valle. I like to use bone white, you know, or some type of a bait fish color, but bone white seems to be very, very visible for a lot of fish. I've caught striper and I've caught smallmouth on the same bait. Like I said, short window. Okay, so topwater is also really productive. Never really did too well on the popper game there. So if you're throwing poppers, never really had much luck at that lake. So next thing I want to really talk about is jerkbaits. Jerkbaits can be phenomenal at that lake. A lot of times, you know, these fish right now, they are going to be in, you know, springtime relating to the bottom. If not, they're going to be near it. So, you know, you want a deep diving or a mid-range diving jerkbait. You do, you know, I mean, you can also get away with standard, you know, standard jerkbaits that don't go down very far. But a lot of times if you fish like some deep points with a deep drop off, or some type of a secondary point that You know, a lot of those are going to be staging points for those big fish that are going into spawn or going out to spawn. You guys are going to know your local waters, fisheries a bit better. You're going to know where they like to do this at. Now, sometimes island tops are also a popular place for this to happen. But, you know, guys, here's the thing. When you're at Lake Del Valle, you got to remember the color is important. What you're throwing is important. And how you're fishing, it's important. So you want to fish all these baits slow in general. And the last bait we're going to talk about before we cut out is going to be the A-rig, guys. Do not underestimate the damage that the Alabama rig can do at that lake. Stripers galore, boils galore, and hey, don't forget it's got largies and smallmouth, and they come too. So it's a pretty phenomenal lake to throw A-rigs. Actually, even if you're in pre-spawn, you know, January, February, it's not a bad idea to be throwing an A-rig out there. I'm telling you right now, big fish, A-rig, Lake Del Valle. So we're just talking about Del Valle, sharing some springtime baits that we have had a lot of success with. You know, I've got a lot of stories about Lake Del Valle. If you guys want to hear about those stories, you know, let us know. Comment below, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for following, and have a good one.